When we enter a web address in a web server or click in a hyperlink, your web browser will construct a request to send to a server. The request will be transferred through Internet to a corresponding server thanks to some Internet protocols. So, we were more interested in the detail. How does the Internet find the right server to send the request to? And how here we will explain a bit about Internet protocol suites. A protocol is a set of rules that govern how systems communicate. For networking and communication, they govern how data is transferred from one system to another. A protocol suite is a collection of protocols that are designed to work together. Before TCP/IP became the de facto standard, other protocol suites like IPX and XPX were common. So let's take a simple example of a parcel service between two offices to illustrate for how data packets were transferred among Internet. The task is simple: send data parcels between people in the two offices. We will divide the task into two distinct processes as follows. At one office, we take a package, wrap it, and address it. Then we send it to the destination. At the receiving office, we receive the package, deliver it to the recipient. Typically, we would like to have an internal mailman in each office. So this guy will collect the parcels from the senders and takes them to the mail dispatch room. The parcels are placed in a van by the dispatchers and then driven to the destination office. And at the destination office, the parcels are received by the dispatcher, placed into a tray for the mailman. The mailman collects the parcels and delivers them to the recipients. So the question here is really that what is the advantage of splitting this task into so many different layers taken by many different people? The answer is that any of the tasks can be changed without affecting the other task. For example, if we decide to use a train instead of a van to transfer the message between two offices, we could do so without affecting the mailman. The TCP/IP protocol suite consists of many protocols that operate at one of the four layers, as you can see in the picture here. The protocol suite is named after the two most common protocols, TCP, or Transmission Control Protocol, and IP, Internet Protocol. The IP Internet Protocol. This is the main networking protocol. There are two versions of IP version 4 and IP version 6. The main functionalities of IP is to transfer the unsecured data package. It ensures that the package comes to the right machine over the net. TCP or Transmission Control Protocols operates above IP protocol. Its mission is to ensure the secure of the data package. Data package that transfer over internet when lost will be retransmitted. And it also have the numbering mechanisms of package. And it also established the connection between the client desktop and the server. And probably you heard on the most is HTTP or Hypertext Transfer Protocols. This protocol is closest to the web layer and it's a workhorse to transfer data from a web among web applications. Besides these famous protocols, there are some other protocols that are also very popular. For example, FTP's file transfer protocols used to transfer files between different computers. SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol for sending email. And and the detail on the protocols is beyond the scope of this lecture, and you can find more detail about it from the internet. Each computers or physical device available among Internet will have their own IP address, and the TCP/IP protocol uses this address for communicating data between the machines. There are two versions of IP, the IP version 4 and IP version 6. In IP version 4, each machine will be addressed by a 32-bit address, which means a series of four numbers between 0 and 255. You can see the IP address, for example, for vg.no here. And with the growth of Internet, the IPv4, which can provide approximately 4 billion addresses, will soon be fulfilled. With the shortage of IP addresses, a new Internet addressing system, IP version 6, is being deployed to fulfill this need. And why computers communicate using these strings, a series of numbers? Us as humans obviously do not prefer it. So you don't want to type in a web browser's this number 195885416, and instead we just type simply vg.no and we get to the website we want. So thanks to the domain name system or DNS, we can translate such a number strings into a human-friendly phrase. And we can consider DNS as the phone book of the Internet. The DNS is maintained by a distributed database system consists of many name servers. Each domain will has at least one authoritative name server that publishes information about that domain. At the IP layer, the connection to the name server is established and the actual IP address is collected for a certain domain. So as mentioned in the previous slides, machine communicate using IP address. Meanwhile, humans communicate using a string of characters, which is called URI or Uniform Resource Identifier. URI is a string of characters used to identify a resource, and such identifications enables interaction with the representations of resource over the network. Here, typically the World Wide Web. We also have another concept which is Uniform Resource Locators or URL. Why URI doesn't mention anything about the access protocol? URLs refers to as a subset of URIs. In addition to the identifying a resource, it also provides a means of locating the resource by describing its primary access machines. For example, HTTP or FTP. URL therefore frequently referred to as a web address. Web users take advantage of this when they use meaningful URLs and, for example, email addresses without having to know how the communicator actually locates the service. You can see one examples of URLs as in the slide. So the first part is what the URL doesn't specify, which is the access mechanisms. Yes, the HTTP protocol. And after that is the global unique part of the identifications. And this strings is unique all over the internet, including the web server computer name, then the domain name, and folder names, and the specific file name. So now we have learned already about how does a website work, and how is a web page is request and transfer among internet. And we also learned that IP layers helps to navigate data package to a right server. And have not mentioned yet that the data package might go through several intermediate computers on the way to reach the final destinations. We also have learned about two kinds of addresses, the IP address as a serial number and a web address. So here we'll introduce you some simple tools to play with this concept. So this will be very helpful when you want to explore about the mechanism under website. The first tool is a NS lookup or a network administration command line tool, which are available in both Mac OS, Linux, and Windows operating systems. And these tools can be used to query the domain name systems to obtain the domain name or IP address mapping for any kind of specific DNS record. And here NS lookup means name server lookup. You can practice this tool easily with either your Windows or Linux computer. So here with the Windows computer, you open the CMD command line. You type in ansep lookup and space. For example, we want to see the IP address of vg.no. And here it gives you not only the IP address, but also in two version, IP version 4 and IP version 6, but also it gives you the server name. The second tool is ping. Ping is a computer network administration tool which available also in a command line. You can have both the command line in Mac OS, Linux, or Windows operating systems. The ping is used to test the reachability of a host or a web server on an Internet protocol network. It measures also the round trip time for a data package sent from the one host to a destination computer that are echoed back to the source. Uh, if you open a CMD Windows in Windows and type ping space vg.no, you will see like how the package was sent to the VG web server. So for example, the time taken for each package, a round trip is at 3 milliseconds. Here it says send 4 package. They receive all the 4 package without any loss. As a data package travel through multiple intermediate computers before reaching the final destination, we have trace routes as another network administration tool that visualize the we call bus stations occur between the travel of the package. And you use the trace route commands in Mac or Linux, or you use a traceroute in Windows operating systems. This results when you type traceroute space vg.no in CMD Windows. This means that the package from your computer travel to VG web server going through 7 intermediate computers, and they all have either IP address or the web address as showing here. Also the time delay. This is also captured by the ping command in the previous slide. We mentioned a few tools that is necessary for doing web projects in this course. Also, I will talk about some advanced tools as well. So for hardware, the most important and probably the only item you need is your computer. It is need to be connected to a modem or network connections to allow access to internet. And you need several different kinds of software before you can create your own website. The first thing is a text editing package, we call web editor. For example, Sublime, Notepad, or more advanced Adobe Dreamweaver. So this tool I use to write HTML files. And you also need validated tools, which used to validate your produced HTML file if it's in the right format or not. So the standard one at the moment is W3 validators. And graphic processing is also important part of this course. So we will not I will not show you how to use professional tools such as Photoshop or Adobe Illustrators, but you can learn the very basic stuff with handling photos using open source tool, for example, GIMP. A web browser is the most important things in the course because you will see the HTML file you created using that. And we are using Chrome in this course, but also you can use other web browsers you favor of. Just be aware that it needs to be able to offer a source code view for the developers. Like in Chrome, we use Chrome DevTools with many advanced configurations. And for advanced tools, we will talk about domain name and file transfer software and web servers later in the course. So thank you for being with me for on over the lections. Here we try to sum up what we have learned during these lessons. We have touched the fundamental concepts about web, World Wide Web, Internet, web browsers, web servers, and etc. We also learn about five main characteristics of a web. We see how a website structures, understand the mechanism behind web publishing. We also learn about the famous popular internet protocols, for example, HTTP, uh, TCP, and IP. And in the end, we also briefly mention about different web publishing tools. And thank you for your attention.